So we are live on YouTube now, and I welcome Kinjal for today's first session. And before that, let me share the bio of Kinjal, and I request Apurva to read the same. So today's first speaker is Kinjal Gala. She is from Mumbai, and here is the bio. Yeah, Apurva, go ahead.
Yeah. So let's welcome Kinjal Gala. She's a trauma informed counselor, emotional intelligence educator. She works, her work focuses on helping people heal emotional wounds, break patterns of self doubt, and step into a grounded sense of worthiness. Over the years, she has supported clients struggling with anxiety, relationship stress, toxic workplace experiences, childhood emotional neglect, and loss of confidence. She has helped individuals who feels not enough rebuild their self-worth so that they can lead emotionally stable, confident, and fulfilling lives. Her approach integrates structured, deep-rooted counseling, and her company name is Ke Kare Dil Ki Baat. So let's welcome Kinjal Gala.
So, RP Pranam, everyone. Today, we are going to talk about something that most entrepreneurs, I would say, which is very much underestimated. We are not going to talk about the funding, strategy, or marketing. It is about emotional intelligence, the hidden success secret for entrepreneurs. So, before this, allow me to share a short story, the silent shift at startup. Sita, a brilliant engineer, ran a startup. Her main focus was on meeting the deadlines. She was able to achieve in 6 months. But despite what happened was the team was burnout and her team developer Geeta was resigning. Sita took a pause. Sita wondered. First, she was impulsive. Then she wondered what went wrong. And she just thought to her own self that being a leader, how can a leader see the people? So Sita sat with Geeta and apologized her for being so much strict with the deadlines and admitted her own fear of failure. So she learned how the well-being matters. So here in this short story, what do we understand? How emotional intelligence helped Sita. Self-awareness, how Sita recognized her fear of failure and was driving her leadership style. Empathy. Sita understood the emotional fatigue of her team. Social skill. She opened a dialogue instead of escalating authority. So the outcome was the atmosphere shifted from fear to collaboration. And 1 year later, she was having a team which was emotionally strong, loyal, and resilient. So she was able to beat the margin at a much higher level, and she understood that a company doesn't run with just the metric or the profit margin, but the company also runs with the trust building of the people, trust building among the team. So, emotional intelligence is often misunderstood. It is not about being emotional, it is not about being soft, but emotional intelligence is being aware of your emotions, why you feel, what you feel, how you feel, and how do you understand what is triggering you, and whether to respond or to react, when to take a pause. So, emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize your own emotions, regulate your emotional responses, understand other emotional states, and respond consciously instead of reacting impulsively. So, It is a bridge between the reaction and leadership. A leadership will always pause between reaction and responding. Now, let's talk practically why emotional intelligence is a success tool for entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship itself brings unavoidable, say, markets are unpredictable. There is a difficulty client, there are difficult clients, financial risk. So along with entrepreneurships, a lot of things are associated. There is also difficulty in managing team, but uh, and without emotional regulation, the stress becomes panic. Person starts to react impulsively rather than responding. Feedback becomes like a personal attack, and then delays creates self-doubt, and also because of the pressure, the person feels burned out. But when the emotional regulation is strong, criticism shifts to feedback, and uncertainty shifts to strategy. The conflict turns into conversions. So emotional intelligence basically transforms pressure into performance. Now let's understand the core components of entrepreneurial emotional intelligence. What are the core components? When we talk about self-awareness, it is becoming aware of your own emotions, your behavioral patterns, which affects your performance and decision. Whether you're taking a decision under a stress or it's a, we can say, collective decision, calculated decision. Then self-management. How are you able to manage your own self? How are you able to manage the whole team? Social awareness. Social awareness being empathy, showing empathy towards the peers, towards your team, towards the clients, towards customers. And relationship management, yes, relationship between, we say, B2B or B2C. When you are able to manage your own emotions and understand others' emotions as well, relationship management becomes easier. Why emotional intelligence is hidden success factor? What's hidden? So when a person is emotionally intelligent, a person will respond rather than reacting impulsively. So the decision that a person takes when being very much responsive, of course, there is a less of a burnout. Then the person doesn't need to regret about the decision being taken. Being taken. So it reduces the risk of poor decisions. Sometimes, under certain pressure or say short-term gratification, a person makes certain decisions. But when a person is emotionally strong, or the emotional regulation is built very well built, the person will pause before taking a decision. Customer and investor relationship, when we talk about, a person understands the room. When a person understands his own emotions, the person is also very well uh, is able to adjust his pitch so that he is able to close the deal between the clients and him. How? By becoming aware of the surrounding, by becoming aware of his own emotions. When we talk about team building, yes, when a person understands the team, the flaws of the team, the weakness, the strength, he sees opportunity in a much better way and also calculates the threat accordingly. So emotional intelligence helps in all the factors: resilience against burnout, better decision making, customer and investor relationship, and team building. Now, let's do a small activity, a powerful activity. Only the thing I would call as a 5-second pause. Here, I would be saying one question, and you need to just type the answer in the chat. But you won't be hitting enter button. You will just type your answer in the chat. And yes, I will let you know when to hit the enter button. But before that, please, here's a little catch. So the question is, what is your first impulse when someone rejects your deal or someone is not able to stick to the commitment or someone is delaying the commitment? Give your honest answer. You don't have to hit the button. Just write what is the thought that comes, how, what do you feel, whether you feel angry, frustrated, rejected, or judgment or dismissal, whatever. Just type the answer in the chat. Done, everyone? So let me just count. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. What happened? The emotional intelligence matters when we react impulsively. I would like to see your answers, whether the answer was out of reaction or whether it's responded to the question. So that is why this pause. Understand what was your first thought? If you would like to change the answer, yes, you can change the answer. But before changing the answer, I would like to ask you that did you understand the nuances, the intensity of how much impulsively we react sometimes when a person doesn't show up, when a person doesn't stay to the commitment? So, yes, I would like this was the answer for your own self, and it's okay if you don't share because the catch was just to for your own realization that where do you how do you respond in a certain situation. Now let's move towards when we talk about adults. Yes, kids emotional intelligence is equally important. It is a common misconception that emotional intelligence is a corporate buzzword or a skill only for mature adults. In reality, emotional intelligence is a foundational life skill that begins developing right from the crib, right from the baby. Teaching a child to navigate their internal world is just as important as teaching them to read or write. While IQ might help them get through school, emotional intelligence helps them get through life. So, why emotional intelligence is critical for children? Yes, because we see we say that the child is throwing a tantrum or the child is not listening, the child is being disrespectful. When we use these words, what we don't understand that the child might be going through certain emotions which that child is not able to communicate because the child doesn't have got the word to communicate, and it comes out as a tantrum child or being disrespectful or not listening. So self-regulation, when a child is understood about how to express his emotions in a healthier way through EI, the child becomes EI, we can say, educated. He is able to communicate in a much better way. Social success, yes, when a child communicates about his emotions. Then, when a child is able to express his jealousy in a healthier way, the child is also able to make good friends. The bonding between the family becomes strong. Academic focus, while academically, if a child feels stressed out, if a child is not able to understand certain subjects, and a child is able to express it, that what is difficulty that the child is facing. So academically, he gets that support and identifying the need at that present moment. See, a child is in a growing stage. He is developing daily. So energetically also sometimes he is high, sometimes he is low. And when there is a room where he is able to understand his own emotions and communicate in a better way, his needs are identified. And there we see a healthy, emotionally healthy child. So emotional intelligence across life stages. For children, it builds emotional regulation before. Emotional damage also form when we say Batamiz bacha, Ganda bacha. So this strong statement stays with the child. And also the message that the child received is, I just don't know how to express my emotions and I am being labeled as a Ganda bacha or Batamiz bacha. For young adults, to build resilience before burnout begins. A young generation, they are able to understand where they are feeling stressful and where they are feeling burnout and how they can manage it. For entrepreneurs, yes, builds containment before leadership collapses. Like we saw in the story, how when Geeta was resigning, Sita sat with her and admitted that she admitted her own fear of failure and which was being projected into the team, and she apologized. 1 year later, she built a loyal, trustworthy team. For parents, yes, model emotional regulation before teaching discipline. So, how to start coaching emotion? Instead of dismissing a child's feelings, like when a child is crying, we say, why are you crying? Not a big deal. For example, if a child says, I lost my pencil and the child is crying. Of course, for us, it's not a big deal, but for a child, it's a big deal because he lost his pencil. Maybe that pencil was his favorite pencil. So rather than dismissing his emotions, we can validate, we can navigate, we can validate by saying that it makes sense. Yes, I understand. You are sad. Yes, I understand, but let's figure it out a better way. So here you are validating the emotions, navigating. When we say yes, even though you are sad, it's time to go. Should we listen to your favorite song on the way home or play a game? Here we are validating, navigating, and also trying to console the kid because the child has lost his favorite pencil, and it's a big deal for the child. So that child, when his emotions are being contained, builds becomes a better entrepreneurship, becomes a emotionally strong adult. So entrepreneurial success is not only built on strategy, is built on emotional stability under pressure. If you can manage yourself, you can manage teams, you can manage clients, you can manage growth. So emotional intelligence is not a soft skill. It is the core foundational leadership competence. That's all.
Thank you, Kinjal ji, for a nice session. We have still 4 minutes, so we are open for Q&A. If anyone has any queries, do raise your hand so we can allow you to speak. And please ask only relevant questions through the PPT. Yes, Neha ji.
How does one understand whether you are responding or reacting, especially when it comes to a child? Okay, I have a 2-year-old niece, and sometimes, like you rightly said, that we think they may be throwing a tantrum, but it's important to understand uh, what they're actually feeling. So, what is the best way to understand that? Is it actually a tantrum or the child is upset? Does it need to be managed? Does it need to be heard and understood? How do we as adults respond correctly?
So sometimes when a child throws tantrum, we see the child is also crying or just not in the state of listen to anything. So we need to be patient enough to let that phase pass, because in that phase a child will not receive any message from the adult. And also at the same time the child needs an adult who is able to contain his emotions, who is able to contain that tantrum and let that phase pass. After that, when the child is approachable, we can talk with the child. Yes, beta, would you please like to tell me more about what made you sad or what just happened? Can you please share? So, this way, we are developing trust and also giving confidence to the child that yes, I'm here to listen to you and you are safe to share your feelings, to share your emotions, what's going on with you. And when we talk about the child, also I would add one more thing about the adult, that when you say about responding and reacting, reaction comes out of trigger. Certain things when it triggers, like for example, if you many we do while conversation we say कि इतना क्या चिढ़ गई, why are you, मैंने तो कुछ बोला ही नहीं यार, इतना चिढ़ना इस छोटी सी बात पे. But that choti si baat, it is not about that baat. It is about triggering certain things, that it might be triggering rejection, it might be triggering abandonment, it might be triggering some early painful experiences. And that is why a person just reacts impulsively. Our body, each and every cell of our body, our nervous system remembers each and every painful experiences, each and every trauma. And that is why when there is a trigger, a person will react impulsively rather than responding. I hope I was able to answer your question.
Yes, thank you. I had a part two in the scenario of when certain things don't go our way. For example, what you said in the exercise, closing a deal or somebody not keeping their commitment. Okay. In that case, what would be the correct emotionally mature way to respond?
Yeah. So when we can you just repeat one more time?
What would be the correct emotionally mature way to respond, or the emotionally intelligent way to respond in the situation that the client, we could not close the client deal, or something that we planned didn't go our way, which can actually be stressful to us, but being stressed will not help us change the situation. So, what would be the emotionally intelligent way that is healthy to handle that, or handle ourselves, manage ourselves better? Because now the thing is,
So
you can't change the
yes,
situation, right? You have to only
yes.
manage yourself.
It becomes hard when we have certain expectations with the client and it doesn't turn up the way we expected. So we have to see what was we expecting from the client. It is not the client will respond to his own way. But if we associate our emotion with the client's responsiveness, then of course it is going to harm us. Here we need to see, check. When I say self awareness, self regulation, we need to be thinking why we were expecting so much and then we got disappointment. And then we become stressed. अरे यार मैंने तो सब कुछ ट्राई किया बट फिर भी क्लाइंट समझा ही नहीं. So maybe because we were, it was our expectation, not the client's expectation.
Thank you, Kinjal
Thank
ji, and I can see Neeraj ji raising the hand. So quickly allow him to ask his query and request you to please give a short answer. I won't take more queries, please. I have to go next speaker. Quickly, Neeraj ji, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Ma'am, it is found that high IQ can be used as manipulation, great deal of manipulation and gaslighting. So, I mean, how to distinguish between high EQ and clinical Machiavellism?
Often high Q is also associated with some internal, I would say, trauma as well, because the person becomes close to certain things. And just to make it short, high Q doesn't guarantee emotionally intelligent person. IQ is a different thing. EQ is EI is a different thing.
Okay, thank you, Kinjal ji, for a wonderful session. I think this is really mind blowing. एक अच्छी वेवलेंथ में, एक अच्छे फ्लो में, बहुत ही पीसफुली एक सबसे अच्छी प्रेजेंटेशन स्टार्ट हुई है आज की. आई एम श्योर द नेक्स्ट थ्री मोर प्रेजेंटेशन विल बी मोर वैल्यू, एडिंग मोर वैल्यू. एंड सॉरी जयश्री मैम, मैंने आपका रेज हैंड डाउन कर दिया बिकॉज वी डोंट हैव टाइम, वी हैव टू गो नेक्स्ट स्पीकर, बट यू कैन कनेक्ट किंजल जी इन पर्सन. And anyhow this video is recorded on the live YouTube, so you can again go through again this video and can see that. And thank you, Kinjal ji, and I would like to call the next
Thank you.
speaker, that is Niklesh Kakkar.